say, to learn from one's mistakes. Everybody's heard this, learning from one's mistakes. But in Sufism, there's a very interesting point of view. And the purpose that I want to explore tonight with you is the approach of the Sufis with regard to making mistakes, trying to learn from mistakes, and how their viewpoint is very different from the ordinary viewpoint. And again, as usual, particularly it's different from what the religious establishment might think or might feel. As you know, there's a verse, poetry from Hafiz that I like to quote, and I only recently again quoted it at Faryal's wedding. And Hafiz is talking about going astray. Another way we could say making a mistake, committing a sin, going astray, and so forth, you see? And very much Hafiz will summarize and will sum up these ideas. And I'll say it again in Persian, and then we can connect it with another poem of Rumi's. So he's talking to God, and he says, Guftam ke buye zulfat gumrah alamam kat. Gufta agar bedani ham huat rahbarayat. Hela, you know this line? Yeah. So I said to her, I mean in this case to God, to him, to the beloved, I said that the fragrance of your hair, fragrance of your curls, has led me astray. The fragrance of your hair has led me astray. That's the first line. The first line, the hair, we have to remember, is a trope. It's a symbol in Sufism that refers directly to the divine names. So he's not talking about a man in the sky or a woman in the sky. He's talking about God, and God is regularly referred to in the Sufi poetry as having an essence, which is the face, and having the divine names, which is often referred to as the tresses. Tresses means the curls, you see, the fragrance of the curls. So this, he's saying, therefore, I said to God that the fragrance, meaning the tangible, sensible effects of the divine names, have led me astray. That's really what this line means. But in the poem, it's a beloved, and it's a beautiful woman, or it's God with, it's a youth with long hair, whatever we picture it from his point of view. And she said, or he said, God meaning said, if you only understood, this too would be your guide. So this is a very interesting point of view. Now, if we connect it, we can connect it to another line from the Masnavi, so that we can think about this before we go into the real heart of the matter, what it means to be led astray by God. So Rumi says, Khub ruyan ayine khubi u. Ishq ishan aks matlubi u. This is in the 6th book. So Rumi says, the beautiful faced ones of this world, anything that is beautiful in this world, they're only the mirror of God's beauty. And the love for them, for the things of this world, this is merely a reflection of God's desirability, meaning the fact that they would be loved is only because it's God's desirability. And this is a very common idea in Sufi poetry and Sufi thought, that that God is visible in the things of the world. The beauty of God is visible in things of the world, that God could be seen in a child's face. Even though God cannot be seen as his essence, he can be seen in his divine names. So we have a paradox, which is that we would like to know God, and God warns us against idolatry. And on the other hand, the Sufis say, Man kafere ishq hastam, I am the infidel of love, meaning I'm an infidel to love. Hafiz often has poetry like this. And what is he talking about? He's talking about there's a very real problem in trying to know anything about ourselves or about God, and the problem is our egotism. Our egotism is so strong that it's very hard to learn about ourselves. Mm-hmm. So very often, for this reason, the Sufis describe. It's a very subtle shift. Like if I say, learning from one's mistake, it sounds like I did something which was a mistake, and I learn as a consequence what not to do. Isn't that what it means normally to us? But here it means, in Sufi thought, it means something very different. It means that you can only learn by your teacher, which is the making of the mistake. It's very different meaning, and a very unusual meaning in Western thought or in Eastern thought. It's a very unusual idea. And so we're going to look at it together in the thinking of Sheikh Ibn Arabi. And to make things easy, whenever I talk about the Sheikh and I quote, I will, rather than translate him, I can translate him from the Arabic, but I like to use an independent text, and I very much like the simple and I think very clear translation of Austin, Bezels of Wisdom by Austin. And the background to this is we're going to contrast the path of not making the mistake versus the path of making the mistake. And there are two prophets who represent this, and they're brothers. So there's Moses, and he is very shariati, meaning he is trying to follow the religious law very carefully, because after all, he is the one who receives the religious law, the tablets of the law, and the so-called Ten Commandments, etc. And he has a history of being a bit of a hard and insistent prophet, And so he's going to represent for us more the point of view called tanzi, transcendence. And transcendence is, the teacher of transcendence will say, do not worship those beautiful faces. Forget what those Sufis say, because you will just be sinning and you will burn in hell forever. You see, the person from Tanzi, or they will say, don't worship God so literally through the names, because you will be, this is called anthropomorphism. You will be trying to liken God to humanity, and this is incorrect. But as you know, the other way of thinking is the thinking of tashbih. Tashbih means to liken, to compare God by his permission to his divine names and to the effects of the divine names. And we should have both of these prophets living inside of us. See, the prophets should live inside of us. They are like archetypes. So does anybody ever criticize themselves or reproach themselves or get down on themselves here? A lot of people, huh? Isn't it true? So everybody has a struggle between Moses and Aaron. Everyone has this struggle inside of themselves already. And they should understand that this is a natural thing and a good thing to have both. It's natural to have this struggle, and it's good to have this struggle inside of oneself. It's okay. It's okay. What we want to do is shift. This, Ibn Arabi, elsewhere, he describes the integration of Aaron and Moses as having stereoscopic vision. As he says, if you only have one point of view, it is like a person with only one eye. They can see, but they cannot see dimensionally very well. So whether they are seeing through transcendence or immanence, we say in English. Immanence also means that God is here present with us. When something happens in this world, he says he will show his signs in the world and in ourselves until we come to realize, until it is made clear to us that this is the truth, you see. So here what we're looking at tonight is, I'm always trying to think of practical things that are part of, I think, most people's experience. And most people, I think, they are hard on themselves sometimes, and they judge themselves, and at other times they are willing to step out from that and to feel more expanded and more open. Now, at all times, we should remember that there's a fundamental notion of propriety. So, for example, at all times the Sufis say, instead of saying this is forbidden because it is forbidden, they say it is forbidden if it causes suffering to others. You see? Because people sometimes say to me, well, all of this talk of metaphorical love, it sounds like you're giving a license to everybody just to do what they want. The answer is this is not so. But the Sufis, they have a different standard. They said if you're going to cause pain to someone, you should realize this is truly a sin. Cause pain to other people through irresponsible behavior. This is very different than the doctrine of metaphorical love. Okay? So the doctrine of metaphorical love is the opposite. It says that love will take you closer to God. So these are two different things. So first thing we need to clarify is this. So when Rumi says the ones with the beautiful faces, they are the mirror of God's beauty, obviously there's a very fascinating thing going on. It's like seeing a lovely form walk by, but they are completely in the veil. And we actually don't know what this person looks like. Let's say it's a woman, it's a man looking. And we don't know, or let's say that we just see from far away what looks like a very elegant person, but we don't know till they come close what they are really like. So there's something mysterious and unknown about it to us. Maybe we are projecting onto this person. But do you see how the veil in particular there's an ambiguity. It is hiding the beauty, or it could be revealing the beauty. It could be doing both. And so when Rumi says the beautiful faces, this is the mirror of God's beauty, and the loving of those faces, this is only a reflection of God's desirability. You see? Yes.
Can you say, is it safe to say at one level then that it's God that is desiring and loving himself?
Yes, of course. Meaning, ultimately, um, the doctrine of one existence means that God is that all existence. So you see, if the general category, the universal category, is called wujud, existence. But don't forget that the divine names, they are merely aspects of wujud. And so your argument holds good, but don't forget, it holds universally good. So that also mudil, the one who leads astray. Now, don't you agree that in the Quran, God is actually more clear that He is leading people astray? He actually says they have gone astray, but very often He directly takes credit for it, which you would think is an odd thing, because He wanted them to come, but He's led them astray. But He's usually done something that was already inside of them. And recently, one of our dervish friends, they said to me, I have dreamt of the number 206, and would you tell me what is the meaning of this? And I didn't answer her for a while because I was busy, but 206 is Jabbar. And I knew about her dream, the details of the dream, and I said, don't you see how Jabbar, the compeller, he compels. Don't you see how God compels what is inside of us to come out? He causes what is inside of us to manifest. He is the compeller. He makes us be what we are. And so if we are lost or negative, then He, through His divine names, will compel that to come out through the appropriate divine name. So He is Jabbar in every way. He compels the universe to come into existence, but He also compels only according to its predisposition, istidat. I am now, of course, talking about the school of the existential Sufis, i.e. Ibn Arabi and other Sufis like this. Even Rumi would be of this point of view, Shahrastari and so forth, okay? So what you're saying is true, that it is God through any individual who is acting, but is acting through the individual. The individual is a very real entity. It has a nafs. God says, bringing all of the progeny of Adam, I cause them to testify. And by asking them, testify about what? About their true nature. I cause them to testify by asking, am I not your Lord? And they said, yes, we witness that this is so. So we see there is, when we used to ask Ustad, well, who are they? And he said, it is all God speaking. This is true, on the one hand. On the other hand, it is also those individuals. Just like the divine names, they are all one name. They're all Allah, but on the other hand, they can be distinguished from each other.
Thank you for that. That opened up, because I was only thinking it from one side, and now that you brought it up, when I think about using the example, like you said, Mudil, you wouldn't. It would seem to me, in my mind, that it would be bad adab to make a statement like God is leading God astray.
Yes.
You wouldn't want to say that, because that just doesn't seem
well,
like
God in the Quran, he gives testimony to the fact that He is leading them astray. Now, in the Quran, we see that you see, because there's a bipolar reality here. So you have the essence, and you have the divine names fully deployed as they manifest in the essences. And therefore, at the one pole, you have kathrat, multiplicity fully deployed. At the other pole, you have transcendental unity. And in between, you have layers, and he is Zahir and he's Batin. So for teachers like Ibn Arabi, of necessity, there's one actor who is a hidden treasure and who loves to be known, and who is essentially looking for a mirror. And in this mirror, he's seeing aspects of himself. And these aspects, so in the Quran, there are voices in the Quran. So from this voice, it's a bit like a Shakespeare play, where there are different voices representing different aspects of wisdom or the lack of it. So there are different voices, and sometimes he's treating the individuals as though they are really somewhat autonomous, and that they have chosen their destiny. And on the other hand, in other verses, he is explaining that they have no choice in the matter. Right? Zaki Salam, how are you?
Salam, very good, thank you.
So the subject of tonight's talk is learning from one's mistakes from the Sufi point of view. And from their point of view, the mistake can actually be a teacher, literally. It's not like learning from an experience called a mistake, but the whole idea of going astray is a great teacher in Sufism. The idea of veering, let's call it veering. Now, do you understand this word in English? To veer off. To veer is possibly to veer from the demands of egotism, who is wearing the robes of the Pharisee or the robes of the mullah, and who would do very well to fall in the mud, for example. Right? Because Ustad had a favorite story about the man who came to him and said, I have done all of the fasting for 30 years, I have done all of these things, and I have not experienced any of the things. And what happened, Faisal? I have not experienced the things you have.
He said to go and take a bag of walnuts or candy and go where people respect you, and take your clothes off, wear some raggedy clothes, and tell the kids whoever slaps me in the back of the head once, I'll give him one candy. Whoever slaps me twice, I'll give him
two candies. See, our teacher really loved this story because he understood. There's many stories like that. That the egotism is so strong that the Sufi is always trying to find a way to broach this topic and to somehow introduce the pathways to salvation. And the idea is, if a person has in their mind, I am saved and I do not wish to be lost, this is one thing. But what if one has in one's mind, I am lost and I wish to become lost from being lost?